You ever see a Texan in a Bayern Munich uh, track suit that supports Grimsby town? Well, now you have. Speaking of Grimsby, I guess it's time I finally tell you why I support the club. Welcome back, welcome back, welcome back. So, today is going to be a extremely under-edited video. And the reason for that is it's our last Grimsby America of the season. It did not end how we wanted it to, I understand. But I think even the harshest critics would say it was a pretty successful campaign. And when you really think about it, we really had no business being in the spot that we were in. But at the same time, we were there. And to be honest with you, if some things here and there would have went our way, we would still be playing right now. So, since I have nothing to do on Saturdays for a few weeks, we're going to make a video about the retainment list. I'm not going to be going over who we retained, but I'm going to be going over, obviously, who we didn't and some interesting decisions, which I'll get into when I actually start talking. And after that, I'm going to do my long-awaited story of why I'm a Grimsby Town FC supporter. I get asked this question all the time, and I completely understand why someone would say, why is this guy in Texas, this American in Texas, supporting Grimsby? Well, you're about to get your answer to that. So, without further Freddy ado, let's get into today's video. So, to keep myself from rambling too much, I'm going to try to catch myself when I start going off down a rabbit hole. But the first thing that and I do apologize for looking down, I'm going to be reading because there's no way I can remember all these names. So I'm going to be looking at my laptop at where everyone on the squad ended up at. So the first thing of note that I want to say is the club can confirm they've offered Denver Hume a new contract. Obviously, that's awesome. We want to keep him. I hope he wants to stay. But at the end of the day, just like a lot of fans and supporters, we want people gone from the club. He has the right to go chase his own dreams, to go get more money. I mean, at the end of the day, it's his life. He's got a. I don't know if he has a family or not. I'm not going to say he's got a family to feed. I don't know, but I hope we keep him. But at the same time, I completely think he deserves a shot at the next level. And if he doesn't stay, I hope he does get a shot at the next level, and I hope he succeeds. And the next two things that we're going to discuss is essentially what we call here in America the trading block. Transfers listed, which is Jordan Wright and Matty Carson. So one of these is a surprise. The other is not, if you've watched any of my videos. So I have kept it no secret that I think the weakest point on our squad is the goalkeeper position. And again, let me also say this has nothing to do with the person that is in between the sticks, right? This has nothing to do with Eastwood or Wright, the person. This is me talking about Eastwood and Wright, the player. Okay, they both seem like good people and good people to be around. This has nothing to do with that. And oh my gosh, my hair is crazy. But anyhow, I've made it very clear that I don't think either goalkeeper should be who we're moving forward with. I think either or is an okay keeper to have as a backup and a spot starter, but I'm very old school, and then I think we should have a bona fide number one, a veteran backup, and a very young third choice. And I think we've got our young third choice. I think he's on the squad right now. And I just think we're missing that bona fide starter and the veteran backup. And I've done some videos, by the way, Go watch them if you haven't already. About five guys we should target should we not make League One, and we didn't. So go check that out. Shameless plug. So, am I surprised Jordan Wright is one of the two names listed on here? No. Do I think he should be? Yes. Um, and we'll get into Eastwood later, but I like Jordan. I think he's a decent player, and I think we can all agree he improved a little bit this year. But at the same time, the choices he makes, I just don't think they're what a team with our ambitions need. And we've got in my opinion, a very small window to make a run at League One with a lot of our contracts coming up in the next year or two. So I think we need to go for it if we're going to. And I think that needs to be right now if we're going to. And unfortunately, I don't think Jordan Wright needs to be a part of that plan. And so I agree with this choice to list him. And the other name that we've listed for a transfer is Matty Carson. Now, this is an interesting one to me because I actually like Matty a lot. He went on a couple of loans, and he performed actually quite well on his loan. Now, granted, they weren't at the League Two level. I get that. And also, as supporters, something I think we tend to forget about is if you are a League Two player, there's holes in your game, right? If there wasn't holes in your game, you would be playing at a higher level. So that's something that from the outside looking in, so if you're an American by chance watching this, getting into Grimsby, don't expect the perfect player because you're not going to get that at this level. You're going to get some exciting young players, and you're going to get some guys that are trying to work on their game, which is exactly what this level's for. So Matty Carson, it's unfortunate because I do think he can contribute to the squad. He has the unfortunate, I guess, position of playing behind essentially our best player. And I don't know. I just think he deserves a spot on the squad. So this was my biggest surprise at the transfer list was Matty Carson because I'm a big fan of him and I do think he's got a decent future. I don't know, just my opinion. So I'm going to go ahead and transition into this next dialogue because we've got a decent amount to talk about. So let's get into that part. So the next section here is the following players have been informed that they will be released at the end of their current contract. So they are not being renewed. I guess in theory, that doesn't mean that we can't rework something out with them, but they're gone. So the first name on the list is Jake Eastwood. Now, do I agree with this choice? Yeah, I do. Was it a little bit of a surprise? Actually, yeah, considering he kind of took over for right there at the end. So it is slightly surprising, but it's a move that I agree with still. Ainley, look, I agree with this. I saw a little bit of pushback on this on X, but for the most part, I agree. Same thing with the next guy, Curtis Thompson. It's we know what they offer right now, and Thompson is just he's kind of tailed off. I think it's in with the next group, whether it be loans or signings, new signings. Just the depth pieces that didn't contribute, we know they're not going to contribute moving forward. So there's no cons in trying the next group, right? So I do agree with this. Harvey Cribb, I don't really have an opinion on, to be honest with you. I have not seen his game hardly at all, so I don't have any opinion on Harvey Cribb. Raquel Pike and Donovan Wilson. I agree with this in theory. And the reason I say in theory is because the second biggest issue I had with the squad this year was our lack of depth up front. And we're releasing two strikers, although I don't think the strikers that we're releasing are going to be able to contribute, but unless we have a plan already in place to sign strikers, multiple strikers, I think it's a mistake to let both of these guys go, even if it's just like how we found ourselves at the end of the season. We needed bodies. Literally, we just needed bodies. And I hope we don't find ourselves in that situation again. So I do hope there's a plan in place to sign some new strikers, preferably more than one. Um, and then here at the end, it's the lone players that have went back to their parent clubs. The first is Justin Obikwu. I know he's been here for a minute, but I think it's time to move on from Obikwu. I don't think we should try to get him back. I know he's a talent. I get that, and he seems like a great dude. Seems like an awesome guy to be around. But I do think it's time to move forward, possibly signing our own 9, not just a loanee. Jaden Luker. I've heard Luton Town say that he may be a part of their list that they don't retain, and that there's a possibility we may be able to sign him back. I have not fact checked that. I do not know if his contract was up this summer, but if it is, I actually do think he's a player that we should look to getting back. Luca Barrington, I've also read mixed things on him as well. And my 2 cents are stay far away from him and let's move on. He would make a play or have a game every now and then that made you see the potential, right? Makes you see what Brighton see in him. But for the most part, I think he missed a lot of chances that the odds were in his favor. And how the season ended, if a couple of those went in, we may find ourselves playing again. But he didn't. I think he needs to work on some things, and I think we need to move on from him. And the other guy, Jordan Davies. He posted a really nice goodbye message, and I don't know if you guys have seen it or not. I'll post it on the screen right now. I really like Jordan, and I would welcome Jordan back with open arms. He had some injury issues, and I want to the players that we look forward to next season. I want to try to stay away from the injury bug because we had so many of them this year. And I do think that that's an actual problem. But he's a veteran. He's been on winning teams. I think he's somebody that we should. And he played pretty well when he played. I would welcome him back with open arms. So that's just my opinions. I've heard some rumors going on about some goalkeepers that we're going to be getting, possibly from Mansfield Town. We'll see if the rumblings for that are true. I haven't heard any not goalkeeper. I haven't heard any striker rumors, so please drop the rumors below in the comments. I would love to read them. Thank you for watching the video, and if you are only here for the Grimsby content, you can stop watching right now. My feelings won't be hurt. The next section is going to be the answer to a lot of people's question, which is, why do I support Grimsby Town? So if you're not interested, stop the video right there. Leave me a like. Leave your comment on some rumors that you hope are true. And I'll see you next video. If you're interested in my story, continue watching. Peace, guys. All right, so it is story time. And a story that I've been asked quite a bit what the answer to it is. And I was saving it for the right moment because it's actually a decently long story. And, well, I guess here it goes. And I'm going to try to keep the background to a minimum, the story to a minimum. That way I can get into the actual Grimsby story. But I do have to give a little bit of a background. So I found out that I was very good, and I may use the term soccer here because that's just what I grew up calling it. And when I'm talking to friends here or talking about the sport here, I do refer to it as soccer. I use soccer and football interchangeably, so bear with me if you are from across the pond. So I realized I was good at soccer. I believe it was in sixth grade. I just so happened to, before practice one day, I played baseball. Before practice one day, we were just messing around because the coach was late, and I happened to be, I didn't know anything about the game, so I jumped in the net. Turns out I was really, really good. And that's when I started I fell in love playing the sport. Now, in terms of when I fell in love with the sport itself, there's a moment. But when I became aware of the sport was the earliest World Cup I can remember was 2002. And it was the World Cup where the U.S., I mean, I was a kid, but the U.S. done some things that we haven't done since. We made it to the round of 16. I don't remember. I think we won the round of 16 match against Mexico. And then I think we went to play Germany in the round of 8. And arguably, we should have won that game because there was a big call that the refs got wrong, which led to us not winning that game. And that's when I first started liking the sport. Now, it kind of went stagnant for a while. We've got a league here called Major League Soccer, which, to be honest with you, I tried so hard to get into for so many years, and I was never able to. Even to this day, I'm still not able to watch it. It's just, I don't like the way the league is set up, to be honest with you. And but where I fell in love with the sport came in 2014, which ironically I think is when international football peaked. I don't think it's been that good since, which of course is the Brazil World Cup. And I fell, for the first time in my life, I fell in love with a team, the American team. We weren't very good, but they weren't backing down for anybody. There were players like Jermaine Jones, Clint Dempsey, Tim Howard. Tim Howard was good, don't get me wrong. But we had a lot of guys on our team that were just role players, but they were role players that had a lot of heart. And that's when I fell in love with the sport and the team. So I wanted to keep watching. I wanted more. I started craving more from a viewing standpoint, right? So then being a goalkeeper, I was like, okay, who does Tim Howard play for? And I started watching Everton. I didn't necessarily love Everton the club, but I liked watching them because of Tim Howard. And my favorite player on those U.S. teams was a guy named Jermaine Jones and a guy named, well, I guess there were two favorite, and a guy named Jeff Cameron was his name. And by the time I found out at the time Tim Howard started kind of declining a little bit, Jeff Cameron had signed for a team called Queen's Park Rangers, which, of course, if you're watching this video, you know who QPR is. So it turns out they signed another American, Charlie Kellman. And they signed another American, Reggie Cannon. And they were looking to sign another American, Ethan Horvath. That deal didn't go through. So I started watching QPR nonstop. And the thing with QPR was I enjoyed watching their games because of all the Americans. But there was something missing, which was a true love for the club. I enjoyed watching the club because of the players. And at this point, I'm watching clubs for players, not because of my love for the club itself. And of course, at this point, my horizon had expanded. I love watching the Bundesliga, the French Ligue 1. Not so much La Liga, but I even enjoy watching the North Ireland Premiership, the League of Ireland, Scottish. I watch pretty much any chance I get to watch any sort of league. Even at nighttime here on the weekends, I get to watch the Brazilian league and the the Argentine league. I get to watch Keylor Navas play for the young boys or the old boys, and I can't think of the Chile. I get to watch their league play in the evening time. It's one of the perks to, to living in Texas, is I get to watch a lot of these South American leagues in the evening. So got a little off track there. So one of the things that I noticed that I did not relate to with QPR and their fans, and kind of my, I guess, I don't know what my road to finding a club that I actually could love, was if you Google the two places that I've spent the majority of my life. If you Google the poorest places in the U.S., there's a couple of Native American reservations, but the first place that's going to pop up is my hometown. Now, I grew up poor, yes. Did I know I was poor? Absolutely not. When you're growing up like that, you don't know any different, right? And then as I got older, I moved. And if you Google pretty much the trashiest place in America, well, that's where I moved to. So what I'm trying to say is the two places that I grew up and have spent most of my life at, they're not places that get a lot of coverage. And if they are, it's for being poor, being miserable, they're not in the news for the right reasons, right? So a lot of QPR fans, good for them, by the way, but they're a little bit bougie, right? I can't relate to them on a personal level a lot of times, right? Everything I have, I got myself through education and through working hard. I came from nothing, literally. So I couldn't relate to a lot of the fans. And this is where I got out my computer and did a lot of research. This is where my geography love came in at. You know, I'm looking through some areas. I knew who Grimsby was for the longest time just because of FIFA video games. So of course I knew who Grimsby was, the club was. But the things that were important to me were a community that gets overlooked a lot, a community that doesn't have the best reputation, some of it rightfully so, some of it not. Because that's what I'm used to and that's what I'm comfortable with. And I wanted a club that the trust still meant something. And the trust still cares and does things. Enter Grimsby. Of course, there's a lot more to these stories. There's a lot more things that happen behind the scenes that I'm going to leave out of the video just for time's sake. But I got into a conversation with the trust. They were super nice to me, super welcoming. Wanted to know how I knew their club, why an American is here, because I messed up when I actually joined the trust, so I had to get some help on it, and got into a nice conversation. I started posting about the club in the comments on Instagram, and supporters were very nice to me. And then I actually said, you know what? I need to actually follow the club. So I started following the team. I enjoyed following the team. I enjoyed the stadium. I enjoyed the community. So then a couple years later, I decided, you know what? I don't think I sound like a dumb American anymore because I've been obsessed with football for a decade now. I played football for longer than that. And, I've been to Europe. And I've been able to play in Europe, right? So it's not like I just don't know anything about the sport. So I made the decision this year to start posting on X about Grimsby. And that was the best decision I ever made in my life. I supported from afar, but then I said, okay, it's time to dig into this a little bit and start posting to get to know people. And I can firmly sit here and tell you that was, in terms of football, the best choice I've ever made. I've met people that I consider friends. I've met people that I'm going to be doing some videos with very soon. And I just feel like I belong. And that goes beyond the club. That's because of literally you all. The viewers that I get on my videos, granted, I'm still nobody in terms of YouTube, right? My videos about Grimsby average about 100 views, which I am extremely proud of, by the way. Um, that is insane support from a stranger in America who did not grow up there and was not born into the club. I support the club by choice because I relate to the community. And if I ever do continue to get this channel gets bigger, I mean, I have a lot of goals. You know, I want to promote local businesses in the community. Literally, I know that might sound stupid, but I do. In that, of course, that's if the channel gets big enough where that actually matters. I would love to do that. I would love to help out some small businesses there. Um, I want to make American fantasy football leagues for you all to do with me because I think it'd be fun. Because I don't know a whole lot about American football either. You guys probably know more about it than I do. I want to do fantasy Premier League with you guys. I'm going to make a league this year as well. Now, granted, and that's another thing too. A lot of you all might be wondering, like, why didn't I go to a Premier League team or support a Premier League team? Well, it's honestly, I just find the Premier League boring. That's not to say that like Tyler Adams plays for Bournemouth. Chris Richards plays for Crystal Palace. Anthony Robinson plays for Fulham. That's not to say that if they're playing at a time Grimsby's not playing, I won't, turn the channel on and see how good the American boys are doing. Of course I will. But I just find the Premier League boring. I mean, since I started watching the English game roughly 10 years ago, other than that season with Leicester, I mean, what it seems like Man United, Liverpool, not Man United, I'm sorry, Man City, Liverpool, and Chelsea. Unless I'm missing something, it's been like the same teams that have won it every year. That's just not viewing pleasure to me. And I know a lot of people say Pep ruined football. To an extent, I agree. Um, I don't find the personalities in the Premier League anymore. Balotelli, the Balotellis, even to an extent Jack Grealish. I actually loved Jack at Villa, and to me now he's just another guy. His flash is gone. Gone. That's why I say football, in my opinion, peaked in 2014. That's when the personalities, I think, just started getting older and started tailing off. I know we still have Balotelli and Neymar, but I don't know for how long we got them for. They're not the players they used to be. So yeah, there is my not so interesting story. I hope it makes sense though, and I hope that answers the question because I do get asked that a lot, and I know this video is going to be super super long, so I apologize. And if you've made it this far, thank you, seriously, and please drop me a like, subscribe if you can. That would mean a lot. I got to get that number up. That's how I can get on more people's radar. More likes and the more subscribers I got. So this summer I'm going to have to start, obviously I'm going to bring Grimsby America back when the season starts back. I'm going to do some Grimsby videos periodically, but I'm going to have to do some other videos just to keep the channel active. I want to do some reactions, some leagues that you may not know a lot about. I'm going to do some Indian Super League, Chinese Super League, just some leagues that you've never heard of or probably don't know anything about. I want to be doing some videos on that just because I love football. And I've got to keep myself watching something in the off season. So thank you so much for turning around or coming out. And this video is way too long already. So I appreciate you all. Thank you for everything this season. And honestly, love you guys. Peace.